What if you found VHS tapes that showed every kind of haunting? Devil spirits, witches ugly as sin, and even sodas that kill people. What would you do in that situation? That's the story of VHS Halloween, the new entry in the saga that dropped this month, and I'm gonna recap it. Tally how many people bite the dust, and beat all 5 evil shorts. Before the fun starts, hit that subscribe so you catch the next movie coming in 2026, and go ahead and smash that like button for good luck. The movie opens in a lab where a team led by Rothschild is developing the diet version of a soda called Phantasma. To see if the drink will pass the consumer test, the scientists bring in a few guinea pigs for a tasting. The second the first guy takes a sip, something wicked goes down. A sticky poltergeist oozes out of the can and yanks the tester's head toward it. Rothschild's bummed, not about the Good Samaritan dying, but because the test flopped. It's implied this isn't the first time someone got wrecked by the soda. The dead guy's wearing a tag with the number 37. Cut to the first short where we meet 2 friends, Lacey and Callieg. They're planning to grab some candy around the neighborhood on Halloween night, since Callieg's heading to Yale and the two will be apart for a while. While they're getting ready in the car, a pack of little punks knock on the window and say Mommy is going to hunt them because they're too old to be trick-or-treating. Rumor has it, Mommy's a witch who lives in the neighborhood. Lacey tells the kids to shove it and yells that Mommy isn't real. The girls don't notice it, but when Lacey rolls the window up, you can see a nasty, oversized handprint. Definitely not from those kids who just tried to spook them. Whatever. Off they go, grabbing candy house to house. An old man says they're a little old for this, which means squat, because these two managed to be the most unlikable characters this franchise has had. Case in point, they take all the candy from the bowl and even steal a little kid's jar. Then they overhear a boy saying a cheerleader vanished in that neighborhood last year. Callieg remembers and says people blame Mommy for the disappearance. See? Easiest way to beat this short would be to head back to the car and trick-or-treat somewhere else. It makes 0 sense to hang around where a girl their age went missing. Pretty solid clue a serial creep might target people like them. They fit the profile, so sticking around, especially on the same night the girl disappeared, is a terrible idea. Forget that. These two think they're hotshots of the galaxy. Greed has a price when they spot a house with a flickering light. Lacey says it's the perfect chance to score more candy, even though Callieg finds it weird that a family with a kid just walked past and didn't stop for trick-or-treat. No one answers the door, so the girls start to back off. As they do, a hand holding a basket slips out from the shadows and beckons them inside, which should be a massive nope in this situation. I mean, besides trespassing, there are other risks, like getting kidnapped or worse. Still, Lacey decides the place is like a haunted house attraction and talks Callieg into stepping onto the property.
You get another brilliant idea.
Dumb move. Right at the entrance, they find sour milk on the floor. It reeks. And that's not all. The living room walls are covered in photos of a creepy little girl, and there are nasty looking dolls lined up on the shelves. The two geniuses realize going in was a horrible idea and head for the door, but a ghastly witch is there, lifting a basket and blocking the exit. She drops the basket and out rolls a premature newborn. Then she slams the door and leaves the idiots in total darkness. While Callieg practically poops her pants, Lacey laughs it off and says it's all part of the haunted house act. They wander the hallways and find a bed inside a metal pen, like someone sleeps in that makeshift prison. There are also giant footprints on the floor, like someone stepped in a lot of sour milk. Eventually they find the door, or rather the wall where the door should be, because apparently the door decided to take the night off. They swear the door was there 5 minutes ago. Lacey rewinds the camcorder to check if they're in the right spot. Yep, the door should be right there. Next to them is a window boarded up with wooden beams. If it were me, I'd try to shoulder ram it open. I'd also look for heavy tools, axes, sledgehammers, to bust through the wall, which doesn't look that sturdy. The priority is getting out ASAP, and preferably not getting eaten by the witch.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
They notice new photos on the walls and see the witch in them, with a huge belly, suggesting she was pregnant before, which ties back to the fetus in the basket. They decide to look for another exit and stumble into a baby shower from hell. All the food is rotting. On the wall it says, "He made me a mommy," implying the witch was abused by a man who eventually got her pregnant. Farther in, they come face to face with a huge guy acting like an overgrown baby, his eyes way too big, like they've been altered by some illicit substance. The chunky baby bolts, which makes the girls head somewhere else, where they find a girl being forced to drink mommy's milk. Lacey yanks an inhaler out of her mouth. but the girl's too out of it to talk. Lacey and Kaliek then come face to face with Mommy, who flashes 6 little melons. Yeah, apparently she's got 6, and seems real eager to breastfeed them on the house. They obviously sprint to another room. They could have grabbed their phones and checked for a signal to call the cops. With luck, the call could have been traced, the wall busted down, and boom, day saved. But nope, no one thinks of it. Farther in, they find last year's missing cheerleader, but she can't speak and her face is blown up like a balloon. The cheerleader freaks out and lures the witch over, giving the girls time to hide in an improvised bathroom where Mommy's victims clearly chose option number 2 all over the walls. They find an old photo of the witch jumping rope with her neck still pregnant. Magically, a line shows up on the back of the photo where the witch says she died to be free from motherhood, which makes no sense. Why lure victims to this house and then pretend to be their mom? Didn't she finish herself off to escape motherhood? Whatever. Out of nowhere, the witch hugs Lacey and crushes her ribs. At that point, Kaliek could have taken the witch down. The thing's physical, meaning you can actually hit her, but Kaliek chickens out and drags Lacey instead. Since Lacey can't breathe right, she passes out. That gives Mommy the opening to haul Lacey down to the basement, so Kaliek follows. On her left, there's a window. Miracle of miracles, it's not boarded up. She could have easily smashed it and escaped, but nah, she accepts her fate of living there forever, and soon finds the witch surrounded by her victims. Lacey's already high on sour milk, face swelling up. Kaliek then lays her head on the witch's lap and just chills there like that's totally normal.
I actually can't believe what I just saw.
We cut back to the soda lab, where 2 more test subjects are brought in for tasting. It goes south fast. Subject 38's can sprays acid in his face, making it swell as the skin on his hands bursts. Subject 39's can crawls into her mouth and out her throat, killing her on the way. The second story takes place in an abandoned mansion in Madrid, supposedly once home to a famous Italian medium. A girl named Victoria and some friends are walking back from a Halloween party, and because Victoria once worked as a server at the mansion, she has the brilliant idea to break in with the rest of the rowdy teens. She says a coworker once took her to a secret room, supposedly where the medium communed with spirits. Guess what these geniuses decide to do? They mess with the occult, of course. Naturally, it goes bad. The teens end up dead, and, strangest of all, eyeless. The only survivor is Enric, who days later is forced to take the police back there and explain what happened. In a flashback, we see Victoria, Enric, and the others hanging out in the secret chamber. They find summoning symbols on the floor and walls, plus the Latin phrase ut supra sic infra, as above, so below. Victoria's freaked, since none of this was there the first time she saw the place. This is the exact moment they should have bounced. They clearly have zero experience with the paranormal. Instead, Enric plays tough and reads the phrase 3 times. Out of nowhere, a cordless phone rings, which shouldn't even be possible. At that point, they should have left the thing alone. No touching, no answering, but Enric picks up. He starts seizing as the footage cuts. In the present, investigators escort Enric back to the chamber. He's terrified to go in, but the psychiatrist with him says it was all in his head. They enter, Enric repeats the phrase, and the phone rings again. A cop answers and hears nothing, but Enric seizes up once more, then vomits his dead friend's eyes. If Enric doesn't have amnesia and remembers exactly what happened that Halloween night, he should have lied and never said the wall phrase 3 times. The exact trigger that made the dead phone ring. No trigger, no completed ritual, and no new possession. Anyway, after the puke, the kid taps into demon powers and levitates the cops, pinning them to the ceiling. At that point, the detective has hard proof Enric caused his friend's demise and is actively assaulting officers. That's more than enough to draw his weapon and put 3 rounds in Enric, almost certainly killing the spirit's host. Everyone would have lived, but nope. The cop hesitates and gets plastered to the ceiling too. Enric goes full maniac, ripping out everyone's eyes before dropping the officers back to the floor.
You're a monster!
Jump to the second interlude in the lab, where test subject 40 takes a sip of Diet Phantasma. She says it smells like crap, but tastes good. She chugs the whole can, then the poltergeist inside makes her hands snap and twist until she vomits a black sludge all over the table. Shockingly, subject 40 doesn't die. She gets possessed. The entity walks up to the one-way observation mirror and can actually see the scientists. They hit a button that sucks the poltergeist out of her and into a tube. Subject 40 survives, but they drag her off and torch her with a flamethrower, and it's brutal. In the third short, we meet Haley, Austin, Lauren, and Josh, who just left an adults-only Halloween party. They gripe there was no candy, just booze. So they decide to go trick-or-treating around the neighborhood.
No! God, please, no! No!
We also learn Lauren and Josh are celebrating a fresh engagement, but Lauren confides to Haley she can't stand the guy and wants to dump his sorry behind. The group finds a bowl full of candies with weird names none of them recognize. There's a sign out front that says 1 per person. They try to look the candies up online. Nothing. Austin plays tough guy and wolfs down a candy shaped like, let's say, a male reproductive instrument. When he reaches for a second, a hand shoots out of the bowl and yanks him in. Then the bowl flies through the air and swallows the others. The 4 wake up in a warehouse. It's unclear if they're in a parallel reality or just some warped pocket of space-time.
What?
Confusing, I know. They're hunted by Fun Size, a creature in a candy mascot suit that unfortunately has supernatural powers. Panic hits and they sprint for the exit. There's a thick padlock on it, so they start searching for the key. In that situation, I'd try smashing the lock with something heavy. There are metal bars by the door. Break one off and use it to bust the lock. Austin actually finds the key, but he doesn't get to use it. Fun Size shoves him onto a factory conveyor. The others find an axe, but the machine powers up, and in 30 seconds, Austin's gonna be confetti. Lauren tries pulling 3 levers to shut it down, but apparently electricity has its own rules in this reality. They need to buy time to save Austin. If it were me, Josh could go full John Kramer and chop the guy's hands off. Gruesome, but it might keep him alive. Plan B, jam the conveyor blades so they can't shred Austin. Tons of objects around could block it, like that big TV over there. That'd buy time to use the axe carefully and break the metal rig clamping Austin by the hands and legs. Forget everything I said, nobody does a thing, and Austin's body gets diced up and added to the same candies they grabbed from the bowl minutes earlier. When all seems lost, Haley spots her boyfriend's hand, still holding the exit key, getting wrapped for next Halloween's shelf. And yeah, my first thought too, an entire hand needs a big package, right? Sadly, that brain cell isn't shared by these characters. Lauren and Haley start tearing open the smallest packages first, wasting precious time. They finally find the damn key in the largest package and make a run for it, but Fun Size snatches Haley, so Josh and Lauren go after her. They're too late. A plastic M&M tube has been inserted where the sun don't shine, and the chocolates are being injected into her body, making her face pop like movie popcorn. Lauren and Josh try the door, only to discover a wall behind it. They spot another way out, a ventilation duct by the door, which they could have tried before wasting time on the key, but whatever. Inside, Josh notices blades dropping from the ceiling to mince any intruder. Seeing it's a dead end, he makes a big romantic vow to marry Lauren, but she gives him the boot and says she doesn't want to get married. Josh freezes, trying to process that. Then the blades slice him to bits. Lauren finds another duct exit and miraculously pops back into the real world. At that point, any human, any culture, creed, or religion would run faster than a cheetah dodging poachers. Not Lauren. She stops to yank off her engagement ring. That gives Fun Size time to materialize in front of her and squash her. Hours later, 2 kids grab candy from Fun Size's bowl. The older one admits he took 2, which breaks the rule and makes the bowl levitate and attack their mom. Back at the lab, we see test subject 41, a young boy, try a sample with a lower dose of poltergeist juice. He says he loves the soda and asks for another can. The scientists oblige, but this time the can has more extract. The moment the kid pops it open, he explodes. The team cleans the room for the next test, as Rothschild says they're getting close to a sellable formula. The 4th story takes place in a town called Ardmore in 1992. A wave of disappearances and youth murders has everyone paranoid. Enter Tim Kaplan, manager of a video store who records tapes nicknamed Kid Prints. Basically, local teens are filmed so they can be identified if they go missing, helping the cops track them down. All the filing is handled by a quiet guy named Bruce, who, according to Tim, doesn't like anyone hovering over his work. Tim's stressed by the news. He's got 2 little daughters. During a sparsely attended Halloween festival in the town square, Tim is told by a mom and a cop that Olivia Hamill, a 17-year-old, went missing earlier. The officer asked Tim to go back to the shop and retrieve Olivia's kid print backup. The store had closed early for Halloween, but Tim's the boss, so he goes in. In the back, he finds a wall of monitors playing tapes of teens being abused and begging for their lives. Deeper in, he finds Olivia being terrorized by Bruce Dittman, the scumbag who's been kidnapping kids. The psychological torture, forcing them to stand in front of the same backdrop used for the kid print videos. After that, Bruce flays their faces like he did to a boy named Drew, whom he'd lured to the store earlier. At that point, Tim should never have touched those tapes. His fingerprints would end up all over them and could land him in court as the prime suspect. The smartest move was to leave the store and call the cops so they could collect the evidence and pin the disappearances on Bruce. Unfortunately, Tim plays the fool and tries to jump Bruce. Bruce dodges and beats the boss within an inch of his life. Bruce locks Tim in the back room and, as a bonus, slaps part of Drew's face onto Tim's. Then he throws Olivia and Drew into the same room. When they see Tim wearing the mask, they think he's Bruce's partner and decide to finish him off. The two try to escape, but Bruce corrals them again and decides it's curtains. He puts on Drew's face and records his own kid print, hinting he was attacked and traumatized as a child on Halloween. Days later, Tim's body turns up and everyone thinks he was the killer. Bruce, meanwhile, gives an interview saying he'll take over the store and keep the kid print project going.
Oh, no, 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 no.
We cut back to the lab for the wrap-up of the Diet Phantasma research. The final experiment starts with 6 volunteers, 5 adults and 1 little girl, none of whom have a clue what they signed. A tech warns the rig isn't built for that many people, but Dr. Rothschild, late and cranky, ignores common sense and plows ahead. The moment one volunteer pops her Diet Phantasma, a camera bursts into flames. Great omen, right? Another participant tries to act tough and gets his tongue ripped out when the can crushes itself inside his mouth. He's possessed instantly and smashes another volunteer, then pukes the same black goo all over the group. The scientists keep running the protocol and extract the poltergeist from everyone, except the girl, who stays eerily calm and clearly possessed. Rothschild notes that amid the chaos and explosions, she's the only one who survived after drinking the soda. Taking that as a win, he decides to mass produce and ship Diet Phantasma using exactly the formula the Subject 47 girl drank. Problem is, the other volunteers, now reanimated by possession, smash the observation window and flood the lab, presumably to thank the team for the new flavor in person. The video ends in screams, smoke, and chaos, leaving only one certainty: Diet Phantasma is about to hit shelves, with a charming hint of demonic manure. In the 5th and final story, we meet Keith, a dad who loves building a haunted house maze. Every Halloween, he goes all in with help from his wife, Nancy, and their son, Zach. It's a beloved family tradition, or it was anyway. Now teenage Zach thinks it's kiddie stuff and claims it's cramping his game with the ladies. Determined to keep the tradition alive, Keith talks his son into hitting a store for more decorations. Keith wants this year's haunt to be the scariest yet, which leads the knucklehead to sneak into the stockroom. He finds a vinyl record called Halloween Horrors. Instead of paying, he pockets it. On opening night, a big crowd lines up for the maze. At the entrance, Keith drops the needle. It starts with the usual screams and cackles, but the vibe shifts fast. The record catches fire on its own. Flames spread, people panic, and when the effects look way too good to be fake, the crowd bolts. Now they're stuck in a parallel dimension crawling with dark creatures. A grandpa cosplaying Steven Seagal is the first to go, crushed by a very unfriendly Casper. More ghosts crash the party and make another rando explode. Keith and the others hole up in a mausoleum, but zombies claw out of tombs and munch 3 more people. The survivors force the door and wind up in a castle. Keith says they have to run the whole maze to get back to their reality. This is when everyone should stick together. Better odds against physical threats like zombies and whatever else is lurking. But no, one cheerleader costume girl wanders off. She gets fried by an executioner in an electric chair. He also takes a whack at an old lady. Add her to the tally. Keith and Nancy manage to neutralize the threat and push on with Zach and a little girl in tow. At the end of the path, they find a witch's house, and the scared little girl thinks it's a great idea to go inside. Awful call. The witch nabs the pint-sized princess and melts her in a cauldron. Panicking, Keith's family books it toward their own reality, but the witch follows them through the portal and spreads chaos in our world, mowing down 2 teens who were just out for candy. Meanwhile, the haunted house entrance starts to move as a monstrous creature comes to life and crosses over too. In a post-credits scene, Diet Phantasma is on store shelves. A little girl stars in a commercial and gets possessed mid-ad. Pretty clear the testing should never have stopped. So far, VHS Halloween has scored great with critics, but audiences aren't loving it. I'd place this one smack in the middle quality-wise. Neither the worst nor the best in the saga, just solidly average. The Milk Witch and Candy Factory shorts are very cool, but the Spain segment and the video store one are as dull as some of the uninspired stories we've seen in past entries. They pretty much feel tacked on just to pad the nearly 2-hour runtime. The 5th short is okay, but it could have been planned better. Bottom line, my score is 7 out of 10. Since it premiered straight to Shudder, there's no box office tally. Enough chit chat, let's count the body bags. VHS Halloween racks up 42 kills in total as the body bag award goes to Haley with courtesy of M&M's. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I see you on the next video, and bye.